In the age of digital confessions and anonymous revelations, Reddit has become a treasure trove of scandalous stories that leave readers both shocked and intrigued. From double lives to office affairs, and from digital deceit to guilty consciences, the platform offers a glimpse into the secret lives of those who have strayed from the path of fidelity. In this article, we delve into some of the most unbelievable cheating confessions on Reddit, exploring the scandals, secrets, and shocking stories that make us question the very fabric of human relationships. 1. The Double Life Diaries, when one partner just isn't enough. Ah, the double life. It's the stuff of spy novels, superhero sagas, and, apparently, Reddit confessions. Imagine juggling two relationships like a circus performer with a penchant for chaos. It's a high-wire act that's bound to come crashing down, and when it does, the fallout is nothing short of spectacular. Let's dive into the diaries of those who thought one partner just wasn't enough. First up, we have the tale of Mr. Multitasker, a man who managed to maintain two separate households for over a decade. Yes, you read that right, 2 homes, 2 families, 2 sets of in-laws, and presumably, 2 sets of matching towels. Mr. Multitasker's Reddit confession reads like a soap opera script. He had a wife and kids in one city and a girlfriend and more kids in another. His secret? A job that required frequent travel. He'd tell wife number 1 he was off to a business meeting, then hop on a plane to spend a few days with girlfriend number 2. The logistics alone are mind-boggling. How did he keep track of birthdays, anniversaries, and the ever-important "honey, can you pick up milk on your way home" texts? Spoiler alert, he didn't. Eventually, his double life unraveled when girlfriend number 2 found a receipt for a family vacation that she wasn't invited to. Oops. Next, let's talk about the serial monogamist. This Redditor confessed to having a string of long-term relationships, each overlapping by a few months. He'd start dating someone new while still with his current partner, creating a seamless transition from one relationship to the next. It's like he was afraid of being single for even a nanosecond. His confession was filled with tales of elaborate lies and carefully crafted alibis. He'd tell partner A he was going on a solo hiking trip, then spend the weekend with partner B. When partner B asked about the tan line from his hiking trip, he'd spin a yarn about getting lost and sunburned. The kicker? He kept a detailed spreadsheet to keep track of his lies. Talk about commitment to deceit. Then there's the International Man of Mystery. This Redditor's double life spanned continents. He had a wife in the United States and a fiancée in Europe. His job as an international consultant provided the perfect cover for his globe-trotting infidelity. He'd spend a few weeks in the US, then jet off to Europe under the guise of work. His confession detailed the lengths he went to in order to keep his two lives separate. Different phone numbers, different social media accounts, even different wardrobes. He'd switch out his American jeans and t-shirts for European suits and scarves, transforming himself like a chameleon. His downfall came when his fiancée found his American phone and decided to play detective. One call to his work number later, and the jig was up. Of course, not all double lives are as elaborate. Take the weekend warrior, for example. This Redditor confessed to having a second girlfriend who lived just a few towns over. He'd tell his main girlfriend he was going on weekend fishing trips with the guys, then head over to girlfriend number 2's place for a romantic getaway. His confession was filled with near misses and close calls. Like the time his main girlfriend decided to surprise him at his fishing cabin and he had to scramble to cover his tracks. Or the time girlfriend number 2 found a stray earring in his car and he had to convince her it belonged to his sister. The stress of maintaining his double life eventually got to him, and he confessed everything in a tearful Reddit post. The responses ranged from "you're a terrible person" to "dude, how did you not have a heart attack from all that stress?" And let's not forget the digital double lifer. This Redditor's double life existed entirely online. He had a wife and kids in the real world, but in the virtual world, he was single and ready to mingle. He'd spend hours chatting with his online girlfriend, sharing intimate details and even planning a future together. His confession detailed the emotional toll of living two lives. He felt guilty for deceiving his wife, but he couldn't bring himself to end his online relationship. The turning point came when his online girlfriend wanted to meet in person. Faced with the prospect of his two worlds colliding, he finally came clean to both women. The fallout was, predictably, disastrous. So, what drives someone to lead a double life? According to these Reddit confessions, it's a mix of thrill-seeking, fear of commitment, and plain old selfishness. The common thread is the belief that they can have it all without getting caught. But as these stories show, the truth has a way of coming out, often in the most spectacularly messy fashion. In the end, the double life is a high-stakes game with no winners. The cheaters end up losing the trust of their partners, and the partners are left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives. It's a cautionary tale for anyone tempted to live a double life. The truth will out, and when it does, it won't be pretty. So maybe stick to one partner at a time, okay? Your sanity and your spreadsheet skills will thank you. 2. The Office Affair, Cubicle Confessions and Water Cooler Whispers. Ah, the office. A place where dreams are made, careers are built, and apparently, where a lot of people decide to throw caution and their wedding rings to the wind. If you thought the most scandalous thing happening at work was someone stealing your lunch from the communal fridge, think again. Reddit is teeming with tales of office affairs that make The Office look like a G-rated sitcom. Grab your coffee and settle in, these cubicle confessions are juicier than the latest office gossip. First up, we have the classic tale of the overtime opportunist. One Redditor confessed that their boss, who was always so keen on the team-building exercises, was actually more interested in building something else entirely with his secretary. The boss would schedule late-night meetings that mysteriously required only the two of them. The rest of the team was none the wiser until one fateful night when the janitor walked in on them in a compromising position. Let's just say, the only thing getting cleaned up that night was their reputations. Then there's the conference room Casanova. This Redditor worked in a company where the conference room was the go-to spot for clandestine rendezvous. One day, while preparing for a big presentation, they stumbled upon a hidden stash of, let's call them adult accessories. Turns out, the room was being used for more than just PowerPoint presentations. The discovery led to an awkward HR meeting where the phrase inappropriate use of company property took on a whole new meaning. And who could forget the water cooler whispers? One Reddit user shared a story about a coworker who was always the first to arrive and the last to leave. Everyone thought he was just really dedicated to his job. Little did they know, he was actually having an affair with the office manager. Their secret was blown wide open when an intern accidentally forwarded a steamy email chain to the entire office. The fallout was epic, with the office manager resigning and the coworker being transferred to a different department, far, far away from any water coolers. But wait, there's more. Let's talk about the holiday party hookup. One Redditor recounted a particularly memorable office Christmas party where the alcohol flowed freely and inhibitions were left at the door. Two married co-workers, who had always seemed to have a bit too much chemistry, were caught making out in the copy room. The kicker? Their spouses were also at the party. The scandal spread faster than a viral meme, and the aftermath was a flurry of awkward Monday morning meetings and a very hasty resignation. And then there's the traveling temptation. This Redditor worked in sales and often had to travel for business trips. On one such trip, they noticed their married colleague getting a bit too cozy with a client. What started as a working dinner quickly escalated into a full-blown affair. The colleague's spouse found out when they accidentally left their phone at home, and a series of incriminating texts popped up. The fallout was a messy divorce and a very awkward annual sales conference. Let's not forget the intern intrigue. One Reddit user shared a story about a senior executive who had a penchant for hiring attractive interns. It wasn't long before rumors started flying about his mentorship style. Things came to a head when one intern decided to spill the beans on Reddit, detailing their affair and the executive's less-than-professional behavior. The post went viral, and the executive was promptly shown the door, proving that sometimes, karma really does come back to bite you. And finally, we have the cubicle conundrum. This Redditor worked in an open-plan office where privacy was a luxury. Despite this, two co-workers managed to carry on an affair right under everyone's noses. They used code words and secret signals to communicate, thinking they were being oh so clever. Their cover was blown when a nosy co-worker overheard one of their conversations and put two and two together. The revelation led to a dramatic confrontation in the middle of the office, complete with tears, shouting, and a very awkward silence that lasted for weeks. So there you have it, folks. The office isn't just a place for spreadsheets and status meetings, it's a hotbed of scandal and intrigue. Next time you hear whispers around the water cooler, just remember, the truth is often stranger and juicier than fiction. 3. The digital deceit, online affairs and virtual vices. The internet, a vast, uncharted territory where cat videos and conspiracy theories coexist in perfect harmony. But lurking in the shadows of this digital wonderland are the scandalous tales of online affairs and virtual vices. If you thought the Wild West was lawless, you clearly haven't ventured into the murky waters of Reddit's cheating confessions. Buckle up, because we're about to dive into a world where emojis replace emotions and sliding into DMs takes on a whole new meaning. First up, we have the classic tale of the innocent gamer. Picture this, a devoted husband who spends his evenings battling orcs and dragons in an online fantasy game. His wife thinks he's just a harmless nerd, but little does she know, he's also slaying hearts in the game's chat rooms. One Redditor confessed that his guild leader was more than just a mentor in the game, she was his virtual mistress. They exchanged flirty messages, shared intimate photos, and even had cyber dates in the game. The kicker? They never met in real life. It was all pixels and code, but the emotional betrayal was as real as it gets. Next, we have the social media seductress. This story involves a woman who found herself in a digital dalliance with an old high school flame. It all started with a harmless Facebook friend request. You know, the kind that makes you think, oh, I wonder what they're up to these days? Well, curiosity didn't just kill the cat, it torpedoed her marriage. They began chatting, reminiscing about the good old days, and before she knew it, they were exchanging steamy messages and planning secret meetups. Her husband found out when he noticed she was spending more time on her phone than with him. Ouch. Then there's the catfish catastrophe. This one is a doozy. A man thought he was having an online affair with a stunning model he met on Instagram. They exchanged messages, photos, and even had video calls, well, sort of. She always had an excuse for why her camera was broken. Turns out, he was being catfished by a bored teenager who lived halfway across the world. When he finally discovered the truth, he was devastated. Not only had he betrayed his partner, but he also felt like a complete fool. The moral of the story? If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Let's not forget the work-from-home wanderer. With the rise of remote work, many people found themselves spending more time online than ever before. One Redditor confessed that he started an affair with a colleague via Zoom. It began innocently enough, just a few flirty messages during virtual meetings. But soon, they were having private video calls that had nothing to do with work. His partner found out when she walked in on one of these calls and saw more than just spreadsheets on the screen. Talk about a workplace hazard. And who could overlook the dating app disaster? This story involves a man who was happily married, or so he thought. One day, he decided to download a dating app just for fun. He matched with a woman who seemed perfect in every way. They chatted, flirted, and eventually met up in person. It wasn't until his wife found the app on his phone that the truth came out. He tried to explain that it was just a game, but she wasn't buying it. The fallout was as dramatic as a reality TV show. But wait, there's more. Enter the emotional escapade. This tale involves a woman who found herself emotionally entangled with a man she met on a mental health support forum. They bonded over their shared struggles and offered each other comfort and support. What started as a platonic friendship quickly turned into an emotional affair. She found herself confiding in him more than her own partner. When her significant other discovered the messages, he felt betrayed, not because of physical infidelity, but because she had given her heart to someone else. And finally, we have the virtual reality vixen. This story is straight out of a sci-fi novel. A man became obsessed with a virtual reality game where he could create his own avatar and interact with other players in a digital world. He met a woman in the game, and they began a torrid virtual affair. They would meet in the game, go on virtual dates, and even have virtual intimacy. His partner found out when she noticed he was spending more time in the virtual world than the real one. The emotional fallout was as real as if he had cheated in person. So there you have it, tales of digital deceit that make you question the very fabric of human relationships. The internet may have brought us closer together, but it has also given us new ways to drift apart. Whether it's through social media, online games, or virtual reality, the opportunities for digital infidelity are endless. And while these stories may be entertaining, they also serve as a cautionary tale. In the digital age, trust is more fragile than ever. 4. The guilty conscience. Confessions that will make you question humanity. The guilty conscience, a place where even the most hardened hearts find themselves tangled in a web of remorse and regret. Reddit, the digital confessional booth, has seen its fair share of these soul-bearing admissions. Buckle up, because these confessions will make you question not just humanity, but perhaps your own sanity for reading them. First up, we have the tale of the wedding crasher. No, not the fun kind who sneaks into receptions for free cake and champagne. This Redditor confessed to having an affair with their best friend's fiancée. Yes, you read that right. The best friend. The fiancé. The wedding was just weeks away, and the guilt was eating them alive. They described sneaking around like a bad rom-com, only without the happy ending. The confession ended with them deciding to come clean, but not before the wedding. Because, why ruin a perfectly good party? Next, let's dive into the murky waters of the serial cheater. This individual confessed to cheating on every single partner they had ever been with. We're talking a track record that would make Casanova blush. The kicker? They claimed they didn't even feel guilty until they met the one. Suddenly, the weight of their past indiscretions came crashing down like a poorly constructed Jenga tower. They described sleepless nights and anxiety attacks, all while trying to maintain the facade of a perfect relationship. Spoiler alert, they eventually confessed, and the one turned out to be the one who got away. Then there's the accidental confessor. This poor soul didn't even mean to spill the beans. They were out with friends, a few drinks in, when someone made a joke about cheating. In a moment of drunken honesty, they blurted out their own infidelity. The room went silent, and the friend group was never the same. The confession was like a grenade, shattering trust and friendships in one fell swoop. The Redditor described the aftermath as a social apocalypse, with friends taking sides and relationships crumbling faster than a cookie in milk. Let's not forget the revenge cheater. This person took the phrase "an eye for an eye" to a whole new level. After discovering their partner had cheated, they decided to even the score by having an affair of their own. The confession was dripping with spite and a twisted sense of justice. They described the thrill of the affair as intoxicating, but the guilt that followed was like a hangover from hell. In the end, they realized that two wrongs don't make a right, but they do make for one heck of a Reddit post. And then there's the confession that never was. This Redditor confessed to having an affair but never told their partner. Instead, they took to Reddit to unburden their soul, hoping that anonymous internet strangers could offer some semblance of absolution. They described the affair in vivid detail, from the initial flirtation to the clandestine meetings. The guilt was palpable, but so was the fear of losing their partner. They ended the post with a plea for advice, torn between the desire to come clean and the fear of the fallout. Finally, we have the guilty ghoster. This individual confessed to cheating and then ghosting their partner. No explanation, no goodbye, just a vanishing act worthy of Houdini. The guilt, however, didn't disappear so easily. They described being haunted by their actions, unable to move on or form new relationships. The confession was a desperate attempt to find closure, but it was clear that the ghost of their past would be sticking around for a while. So there you have it, folks. A parade of guilty consciences that will make you question humanity, and perhaps your own life choices. If nothing else, these confessions serve as a reminder that the truth will out, one way or another. And when it does, it often comes with a side of guilt and a heaping helping of regret. Conclusion. As we navigate through these jaw-dropping tales of infidelity, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the truth has a way of surfacing, often in the most dramatic and unexpected ways. Whether it's the thrill of a double life, the allure of an office affair, the anonymity of digital deceit, or the heavy burden of a guilty conscience, these stories serve as cautionary tales for anyone tempted to stray. In the end, the fallout from these confessions is a stark reminder that trust, once broken, is incredibly difficult to rebuild. So perhaps the best course of action is to cherish and nurture the relationships we have, rather than risking it all for a fleeting moment of indiscretion. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more relationship advice and tips.